Well, greetings, everyone. This is Belani Lay Patterson with another episode of Women Healing Globally. And as promised, even though I'm starting a little late in the day, had some appointments and things I had to get to, so please forgive me in advance. But this episode is about mirror or threat, what another woman's success reveals internally and externally. This is what we call the social dimension. It explores jealousy, comparison, and the courage to shine anyway, besides how we might feel about these particular things, because jealousy is it's a crafty little devil. You know what I'm saying? It's because a lot of times we don't want to actually admit that we have felt the emotion of jealousy of ourselves or other women, right? Or that we have had comparisons. And again, once we deal with those things, when we are honest with ourselves, because this is just normal, natural human nature of how emotions fluctuate from, feeling joyful and successful or encouraging another woman to sometimes feeling a little inadequate, might I add. But again, another episode, Women Healing Globally, Balanced Cosmic Living, and the 9 dimensions of health and wellness. So today's conversation, as I mentioned earlier, this is one that many women have experienced, but few sometimes openly discuss. We're talking about the subtle jealousy, the comparison, the unspoken ways women communicate with one another. Now, before we begin, I do want to make this clear. This isn't about attacking another woman. I am all about women. This is why I've, created this Women Healing Globally, to address the elephant in the room about the subtle things that keep us in bondage and keep us feeling threatened by one another, or keep us from shining because we are feeling inadequate to shine in our own light, in our own skills, in our own lane, and tend to our own garden, right? So again, without attacking another woman, it isn't about blaming another woman. This is just about healing. So I want you to make sure you are clear on this, and that I am clear on what I am attempting to convey today. This is strictly about healing. That's why we call it Women Healing Globally. I am on a journey with you women internationally and all around the globe. So this is not a message that is just for someone else or another woman. This is for myself too, to take a look at myself, to do the reflection, to do the inner work. Because healing begins when we are willing to look honestly at ourselves. And one of the things I've learned through behavioral health and through my behavioral health and coaching education, and just life experience, in that communication is much deeper than words often. People are always communicating. I mean, always communicating, whether it with words or sometimes with silence, sometimes with our body language, sometimes just with energy, because I believe everything is energy, right? Everything holds an energy to it. And sometimes with what is not said at all. And as an African American woman, this is my experience. This is all I know. There is a communication style that often many of us recognize immediately. Excuse me. That look, the look that African American women can give you to get it in check, right? The side eye, the eye roll, the stare, the head tilt, the neck movement, the hand gestures, the finger snap, the clap. I mean, we as African American women, we be having it down. I mean, like, just Just don't cross us, or if we thought you meant something that you really didn't mean, we're going to check you on it immediately. And that's just part of our culture. But that facial expression that often says an entire paragraph without a single word being spoken, all conveyed in the body language. Many of us know exactly what those signals mean because we grew up around them. We learn to read the room. We learn to read people's energy. We learn to pay attention to the subtle shifts in behavior because often the body speaks before the mouth does. In behavioral health, we are trained to observe these things. We pay attention to the body language, to the eye contact, to the tone of voice, to the posture, to the facial expressions, to the movement. Not to judge people, but to better understand them. Because my goal is never to tear another person's spirit down or bring any hurt, harm, or danger to anyone. I'm here really to encourage and uplift and do my part as best I can to encourage and to allow people to see the shine within themselves as I am learning the shine within myself. It's not to recognize, it is often recognized, actually, my apologies there. It is to recognize when someone actually can feel safe. And when you are around people and you lived long enough, you can kind of study or observe their behavior, what they say, what they don't say, right? If you're starting to feel anxious, if you're starting to feel guarded in some way, and when they are hurting, you can see that when another person is hurting, and they don't have to say anything. You can just read the body language. And when a person actually, particularly women, need that support and encouragement. And that's what my goal is. The truth is that human beings are constantly communicating information beyond words. That is one of the reasons why the body keeps the score resonated with so many people. Number one seller, right? And one that I had to actually read as one of the reading materials when I was taking up classes for behavioral health. And I learned a lot from that book. Our experiences often show up in our bodies long before we can explain with language. And this is where today's conversation becomes really important to me. Because sometimes jealousy doesn't sound like jealousy. Sometimes it looks like distance. Sometimes it looks like withdrawal. Somebody will withdraw their energy from you, right? Sometimes it looks like silence. And sometimes we use these things to often think that we're either protecting ourselves or punishing another. Either or. It doesn't work. It's not actually building yourself, and it's not building another woman. Sometimes it also looks like dismissiveness. Sometimes it looks like someone celebrating your struggles while becoming uncomfortable with your success. Have you ever noticed how some people are willing to discuss drama for hours? Oh my gosh, I used to be that girl and not in a malicious way, but I wanted to tell my side of the story, right? Because I felt like I needed to be heard and it didn't really happen this way. But I'm learning that, what? Silence is golden, man. It is so much power because things tend to reveal themselves when you don't get to a place where you don't have to explain yourself. If you're clear and you can sleep at night and you know what you did and, and righteousness and if you know that maybe if you need to make correction or make course correction and apologize, you can't humble yourself enough to do so, those things just will continue to fester, right, in you. I believe that's why the body keeps the score. You have to understand that if you're not honest with how to gauge your emotions and what you're truly, really feeling, right, wrong, or indifferent, it's just going to settle and build and build and build. And then it'll come out some kind of way. And usually it comes out unhealthy, in an unhealthy manner. Passive aggressive, they call it, right? They can discuss problems. They can gossip. Conflict comes up, mistakes. They pointing out the mistakes and failures of everybody. Who did what? Who said what? Oh man, women, we got it bad when it comes to that. We have it bad. And now when I have conversations, I want to have more edifying conversations. I don't want to build this platform of women healing globally and not actually live what I'm talking about. Now, have I been there and had those experiences? It doesn't make me any less or better or greater than any woman. That's not my aim. But I'm actually trying to just shine light on the fact that these are feelings that every woman, I believe, has had at some point in their life. And somehow there's always plenty of energy for those conversations when it comes to, subtly belittling a woman, some making a little slide comment. Well, girl, if I was, I wouldn't, the moment that she fails in her career or her relationships or her parenting or whatever it is in her spiritual path, we're quick to come and talk about it. Well, that ain't my business, but, that's our famous line, right? But the moment that you start often talking about growth, healing, purpose, education, about your educational endeavors, your faith, your spiritual practices with Christ, business goals that you might have, or personal transformation, or a dream you finally decided to pursue. Somehow, crickets. Everybody gets real uncomfortable. You don't hear nothing. The room gets quiet. The enthusiasm often disappears. The encouragement becomes limited. And sometimes you get what we call that blank stare. A blank face, maybe often not even an expression at all. No questions, no curiosity, no excitement about you wanting to do better for yourself. No congratulations, girl. No, I'm proud of you. No, well, you know what? No, how can I support you? Just plain old silence. Now, there's a different kind of silence. There's a silence that you don't have to actually, you can use silence in a way that's powerful so that you will learn to use your voice and your words to encourage. And sometimes God will just have you be silent so that he can talk to you and reveal to you things that you need on your journey, on your personal journey of growth. So silence can be powerful. But oftentimes, if you're using silence to actually punish someone, I'll show them, I'm never talking to them again. What is that gaining? It really usually just backfires. But anyway, just that silence. And if we're being honest, sometimes that silence says more than words ever could. Now, does that automatically mean jealousy? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Sometimes people are distracted. We're distracted with our own lives, things going on. We're not thinking about you really. And it's not, not trying to be offensive. Just sometimes we just got other stuff going on, other shit going on in our head, to be candid about it. Sometimes they're carrying burdens of their own. Sometimes we're trying to survive in our own personal storms, in our families, in our careers, in our jobs, with our relationships that we have with ourselves and with others. Sometimes simply we don't have the capacity to show up for someone else in that moment. And that is okay. Not everything is about somebody thinking that they're better than you. And not everyone is about somebody being jealous of you. And I'm not trying to lead with that narrative. Please hear me. Please hear me. The real thing is that if we're going to pretend about the elephant in the room doesn't exist, then that's where I am here to expose that elephant in the room. Because the healing is at the root. You have to find the root of it in order to start the healing. You have to be honest with yourself, with the uncomfortable discussions with, I really was thinking that. I really was talking about myself or talking about her or talking about something that was in a negative light that doesn't bring anyone, including yourself, any growth. It actually stagnates you. Because these dynamics do occur among women, and they occur often in the church, outside the church, at work, in business, in social circles and family gatherings, on social media, and in friendships, and sometimes even among people who genuinely care about us. The question isn't whether it exists. The question is, what do we do when it shows up? Do we become bitter? Do we become competitive? Do we start shrinking ourselves to make other people feel comfortable? Or do we continue growing anyway? Do we take on this fearless coat and say, you know what, this is how I'm feeling? Do you journal it out? Do you confront your sister and say and apologize? Or it doesn't even have to be another woman, or to your children and say, you know what, maybe I said something wrong. This is something I was thinking. You know what, how can I show up for you? I got my own insecurities. But if you don't ever admit that you have these things, then you'll continue on the toxic patterns, and until it sometimes implodes and then explodes. And then you show yourself subtly starting to shrink. Maybe other people don't want to really be around you. But if you take on this journey to actually really want to grow, to want to evolve, to want to find what your calling is and to shine in that, it's so worth it, I believe. It's so much worth it. Because we're breaking generational toxic patterns and curses that have been in our family and in women, amongst women for years. And I challenge us to just grow anyway. Heal anyway. Do we continue showing up for ourselves anyway? That's what I want us to do. Show up for ourselves anyway. Because another person's inability to celebrate your growth should never become permission for you to abandon it or to abandon yourself. Your purpose is still your purpose. Your calling is still your calling. Your gifts are still your gifts. And whether the room applauds or not, whether people understand it or not, whether they support it or not, you still have a responsibility to become who you were created to be, who the Most High created you to be. And so really, the only person is waiting for you to do that is you. Waiting for you to come out from behind the shadows and do what you're called to do. Me doing this, man, I wouldn't have thought. I spoke at my second speaking engagement on the 9 dimensions. I put it to 7 dimensions for the speaking engagement because of time, but Man, I didn't think I would be in that position. I was like, God, like you got me out here speaking about something that he gave me to do. And it was well received. I was grateful for the opportunity. I hope to continue on with speaking about the 7 dimensions or the 9 dimensions and sharing it. And I had that with biblical references to it. So, but if I am hiding behind my gifts and looking at other women that are living in their gifts, then really who am I to blame? Why would I be jealous of another woman doing what she feels she's called to do? Everybody has at least one gift, some of us more than several. So growth creates mirrors. And it is our responsibility to become who we are created to be, as I mentioned earlier. When another woman begins stepping into her purpose, it often forces us to confront our own potential. Not because she's doing something wrong, not because her courage raises some question. What am I doing with the gifts I have been given? That's the question. What am I currently doing with the gifts I have been given from the Most High? That question can inspire us or it can trigger us. And the deeper issue isn't another woman's success. The deeper issue is what her success awakens within us. Maybe it awakens an abandoned dream. Maybe awakens fear. Maybe it awakens self-doubt. Maybe it awakens, the desire of we've been avoiding for years. The healing begins when we stop asking, why her? And we start asking, what part of myself have I been neglecting? This is what the self-care and self-care journey is all about. One lesson that I have learned in this, I don't want another woman's gifts. I want my own, and I want to stand in my own. I don't want another woman's purpose. I don't want another woman's man. I don't want another woman's partner. I just want my own. I don't want another woman's blessings. I want my own blessings that are assigned to me, because the wealth is not outside of me. The wealth is within me. The gifts are within me. My voice is within me. My purpose is within me. And your gifts, your voice, your purpose, and your calling are within you too. I shared a little bit about, people, my name. I posted now. My mother gave me that name, Belani Lay, and it means wealth of this house or married to wealth. Many, many years, I looked for the wealth outside of myself or in other people, when actually the wealth was what God was showing me was the wealth is within me. So as I am leaning into this newfound discovery of who I am and that the wealth is in me, not just financially, but spiritually through all of those 9 dimensions that I speak of, that's what I'm exploring and growing through. And one of the most valuable lessons of my therapist that shared with me recently, because I go to therapy, absolutely. How can I call myself teaching something that I haven't experienced and that I'm not living? Remember, I told you that. If someone is consistently gossiping about others, what makes you think they won't gossip about you? You understand? The lesson taught me something important about boundaries. Not everyone is a safe place. Not everyone has earned access to your vulnerabilities. Not everyone has earned access to your dreams. And that doesn't make them bad people. It simply means discernment matters. The understanding is one of the reasons I created a safe place. and Women Healing Globally, the Safe Place Crisis Intervention meetings that I would have every Thursday when I was in, another state, in Arizona, where they could have an opportunity to heal, to be vulnerable, to not have to put on no act, to talk about how they feel and feel supported in that, and tell and share their truth. The meeting was created, or a safe place for them to share their struggles without fear of any type of ridicule or gossip or comparison or judgment. Because healing requires safety. It requires you to be able to say, can I trust this person with my deepest vulnerabilities, with my discrepancies, with my insecurities, can I trust this woman with that? With me, you can. I can't speak for every woman, but I am definitely creating a space for women to be able to do that. And if you're willing to join me on that journey, then I'm more able to welcome you into this tribe called Women Healing Globally. Because another woman's light is not about any competition. It's really the evidence of possibility. Her light doesn't have to diminish yours. Her success doesn't have to reduce your potential. Her journey does not cancel your purpose. The question is not whether she deserves to shine. The question is whether you are willing to stop hiding from your own light. So before I leave you today, I just want to ask the question, who are you coming to be? I'll go first because this is the mantra for Women Healing Globally. I'm coming to be me. Who are you coming to be? I'm coming to be me. The real me, the authentic me, the aligned me, the joyful me, the grateful me, the forgiving me, the healed me, the woman I was always meant to be. So I hope you're giving yourself permission to become who you were always meant to be, too. But until next time, this is Belani Lay Patterson, founder of Women Who